Welcome to the walkthrough of frequently made mistakes for assignment 4 in CS3251. First, as always, please make sure you document your code thoroughly. Too many people are writing large blocks of uncommented code, which makes it hard to provide comments and feedback on how to improve it. Next, let's take a look at some of the mistakes. So here's a case where we don't actually have to pass in scoped array t. All you need to do is just pass in new t size. So this is a little bit cleaner way to do things. Let's now continue down and look at some other mistakes. Please make sure you're using the standard copy algorithm as well as the standard fill algorithm where necessary. One of the purposes of assignment 4 was to get more experience using standard C++ STL algorithms like copy and fill. So try to avoid using loops. In fact, you probably don't really need any loops at all. You could be using the algorithms instead. Likewise down here, now that we're in assignment 4 and you've implemented iterators, you can clean up this code that used to have to work off of the scoped array contents directly, which is a little bit awkward and cumbersome and error prone. And instead, you can just use the iterators that come from begin and end factor methods. So use those instead. This is not necessarily a mistake, just a cleaner way to do things. It's going to be cleaner if you initialize marray by releasing and transferring ownership of source's marray pointer into marray rather than using get followed by an explicit call to release. Just extra work that's unnecessary. Let's take a look at some issues with the copy assignment operator. So this code can be simplified. It's too complicated. Please rewatch the videos that explain all this. They'll show you exactly what to do. You can make this way more concise. Let's now take a look at a simple simplification you can make to the one parameter add method. Rather than having these two calls here, simply just say return add, and that'll go ahead and get the right result passed back. A lot of people struggled with issues with their add methods that take two parameters. This is probably the most complicated method in the whole program, the whole assignment. So a couple things here. First, don't make a scoped array and then immediately swap it with marray and then do operations that might throw exceptions on marray. That completely misses the point of why you're doing scoped array. You want to move this kind of stuff to the very, very end after everything else has worked correctly. Also, this particular code is copying too much data. There's no need to copy up to M capacity. You only need to copy up to M size elements. And also, don't call release. Instead, take swap and put it at the end after everything else has worked and you haven't had any exceptions occur during the copy operations. Here's some other problems with add. So again, don't call swap until all the copy calls succeed. Otherwise, you can end up with inconsistent results, which we don't want because we're trying to give strong exception safety guarantees. And also make sure to use the swap method on the array list, not just on the scoped array, because the swap on the array list will swap the M size and M capacity fields as well, which you definitely want to do here. Let's take a look at an issue with remove. A lot of people got some problems here. You don't need to call swap and release. You just need to call swap. And make sure that you, of course, we're implementing strong exception safety guarantees. So you want to do everything on a copy of the current contents of marray, not on marray itself, and then swap at the end. And then make sure that you return the item that was removed rather than returning marray. I'm honestly not even sure how this code would compile. So it's probably just a type error as well as being a logic error. Let's take a look at swap. So there's cleaner and less complicated ways of doing swap and also ones that don't ignore certain values. So you can see here that you want to use standard swap on size, M size and M capacity, and then the swap call on the scoped array. So you clean this up. It just be 3 calls to swap with the various fields that we need to work on. Make sure that you implement the begin end factor methods that create the iterators. And when you do that, they belong in the .cpp file, not in the ArrayList.h file. So make sure they go there and make sure that you implement them. Otherwise, there's no way to create the iterators. Here are a few things I noticed with iterator implementations. So this isn't really a big deal, just a little bit more concise to write the code like this. Down here, it's a good habit to get into to always write the not equal operator in terms of the equality operator, the double equal operator. So it's cleaner to do it like this than it is to do it like that, even though it's roughly the same thing. I think this code here will actually trigger an infinite recursion. So you're implementing operator not equal in terms of calls, a call to operator not equal. So You do not want to do that. Instead, you want to implement it in terms of operator equal, and then you negate the result of that. And then finally, this code here doesn't have the right semantics for pre-increment operator plus plus. You want to do that on the object itself. You don't want to make a copy of the object, which is what this is doing. So please go back and rewatch the videos on iterators for more discussion about how to implement pre-increment operator plus plus semantics. So those are the problems that I saw. Some are errors, some are just stylistic issues that people need to fix before they submit their final version of assignment 4.